goes by a lot of names.
He only has one name. Peter said that. Remember in the book of Acts? Do you remember?
Yes. Goes by Jehovah.
Well, there's only one name though, is what I'm asking. Who do you call to? Because I call to a particular name, a proper name. That's all I'm asking, man. I'll show you Acts 4:12. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So there's only one name underneath the heavens, which we reside on the planet Earth. So when the Lord came on the earth, who you call Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When he came on the earth, who did he come to? But when you read the Gospels, what particular people was he speaking to?
First the Jews.
Okay, which consists of the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, because the word Jew comes from the word Judah. Did you know that? The word Jew?
I think so.
It comes from the word Judah. Judah is the main head of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's why I got this sign right here. The 12 tribes of Israel. Which Israel, his name was Jacob. But when he wrestled with the angel of the Lord, the name was changed to Israel, means he's a prince of power. Because the Israelites, they were the Most High's chosen people. So again, who did the Lord come to speak to? Who did he come for in the Gospels? The Jews, right? Which are his people. So there's only one name underneath heaven that you are to pray to, and that you have to also take part in that same bloodline. Not only just the flesh, but also the spirit. Your spirit has to consist within that DNA structure within those people. You can't just come into something that you were never a part of. And I'm not speaking to you particularly. I'm just saying because a lot of people have a misconception in the world that everybody can be saved. And that's not the case though. Because not everybody can be saved.
They can.
Huh?
They can.
Show me in your scriptures. Show me where you back up what you just said right there with that word. You asked me, you said you're praying for me, and I just asked a simple question to try to have a dialogue with you, because you obviously have a belief system. So you are to defend, and somebody asks you a question, you're supposed to back it up by the word. Isaiah 8:20 says that if they speak not according to this word, there is no light in them. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, there is no light in them. What is that light? There's knowledge. So you have to back up what you just told me. Show me in the Bible where it says that everybody can be saved. While you do that, it's fine if you can't, man. This is Matthew 1:21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, right? For he shall save his people from their sins. Who was his people?
Jews.
The Israelites, not just the Jews, because the word Jew comes from the word Judah. All the sons of Jacob are of that fallen under that promises and that covenant. This is Romans chapter 9 verse 1. And I'm going to get to the point. This is Paul speaking. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren. Right? So now he's speaking. Basically Paul was saying, I wish I could have took the Lord's place, because what the Lord had to suffer, it was agonizing. It was terror. Right? So that's what Paul said right there. For my brethren. Now he's going to go into who are his brethren. Paul speaking. Do you know what tribe Paul was from?
I believe it was Benjamin.
Exactly. It says, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites. Now he's going to go into particulars who his brethren, the Israelites, what's going to be given to them. If they hold on to this faith, they hold on to the gospel, which is what the world called Jesus Christ came to bring to his people. Because before they were just all going based by the law, right? Because when the Lord came, he rebuked the Pharisees and the scribes, because they were all law. But the Lord said the law can't save you. It's your faith. But it's your faith in me. Okay? In the Father. In the Father and the Son. Now Paul's going to get into the particulars. It says, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So somebody that was outcast, because you know the Israelites, when you go into the Old Testament, they were dispersed to the four corners of the earth throughout all the nations, right? They call it a dispersement, because of them going against the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So the Lord put the curses on them that they're going to be in all the earth mingled amongst the heathen. With the heathen, also another word for heathen is Gentile. That's where you're getting that the churches speak falsely. That's where they're getting this whole, and a lot of, I was under that. Like everybody could be saved. If you're a heathen, you're a Gentile, you could be grafted in. That's not the case. It's only the outcasts that were once Israelites that fell according to the customs of the land, the traditions of the heathens. That's what made them had the Gentile state of mind of not knowing who they were as a people, but also following the lands, the heathens of the land, the laws, the traditions, and the customs. Jeremiah 10:10 goes into that. Learn not the way of the heathen, because that's what's going to cause you to be grafted out, not grafted in and kept in within that one tree. Now, if you have a seed, an apple seed, and you plant it anywhere in the world, what is it going to grow as? An apple, right? You can't put a seed of a peach and an apple together and they're going to grow unless you do some genetically modified organism dissectomies. That's the only way. But naturally, they can't grow together. They're not going to mingle together. So that's what that a lot of the misconception of the people in the churches are speaking this falseness, because they know, especially these the head people that rule the earth, they know that they're not part of that promise. Even if they deny it, the elites of the world, the international bankers, these atheists, they know in their deep of hearts that they're not the God, the Most High's people. That's why they deny God. That's why they don't believe in God, because the Lord does not deal with them. But deep down in the heart, they know that He exists. There's no way they can explain any of this. That's why they go into the whole Big Bang Theory and all this, that, and the third. But that's complete madness. The Lord gave us the answer here, right? So
you don't can be saved. If not, then we're dead in our sins.
Yeah, you're gonna die, and then that's it.
In vain. So this is untrue.
Right. So it says,
which is not.
It's not. Yep. To
so
whom?
Anyone can be saved.
Well, we're gonna find out. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of the Most High, and the promises. So only the Israelites are gonna receive these promises. Paul said it, and the Lord said it. That's why He said,
"For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. That
right.
Whosoever believeth in Him shall be saved."
Beautiful. Well, check this out. This is John, chapter 17, and verse 9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which Thou hast given me, for they are Thine. So, can you explain to me why the Lord said that in John 3:15 or John 3:16, what you just quoted, and the one in John 17, where why did He say, I pray not for the world, but in John 3:16 He said, for whoso believe in the name of the Lord shall be saved. So can you explain to me why those two worlds, that word world is being mentioned twice in the gospel, but one is saying they're going to be saved and the other one's going to be not saved? Do you have an answer to that?
For those who are not saved in part of the world and want to be with the world, and go with how the world wants you to go.
I see.
With God.
I see where you're getting at. I see. But
so they go
that's
with the flesh instead of the spirit.
But do you know who, when He says they are Thine, do you know who those Thine are?
You. Yours.
Okay, that's what the word is referring to. That's what it means. But I'm speaking spiritually. I'm asking you in a spiritual sense, who is He referring to when He says Thine? He says, I pray not for them. So He's saying, I'm not praying for them. I pray not for the world. The world, He ain't talking about the earth. He's talking about the inhabitants of the earth. So there's a particular groups of people that He's not praying for. The Lord. This is the Lord in red. Okay? It says, but for them which Thou hast given me, for they are Thine. So who are those people that He's speaking to, particularly in that context? Exactly. I'm gonna show you, man, because you know what I'm saying. Like, I ain't trying to, when people come to me, my job is to defend the gospel or to make certain ways perfect. That's what John the Baptist did when he was in the wilderness. He was making ways perfect for the Lord's return. So you believe that the Lord's coming back soon? Okay, so I do. So do I. So my job is to make the ways perfect. Those that believe, they're gonna believe. He that had the ear, let him hear. But he that forbear, let him forbear. So my job is to do it. So if you were to walk away right now, I'm not gonna keep you. You know what I'm saying? But my job is to defend the gospel because I'm being watched. So this is in the book of Isaiah again. Let me find that scripture to show you who those thine are. And you could be Israelite. And I'm not trying to knock you down. We have to hope that we are, okay? But if you believe, and that's why I'm going to go back to the original question. What is the Lord's name? Here in just a second. We have to believe that we are Israelites. But you have to understand that this gospel, the Bible, the Comforter, salvation is only given to the Israelites. And there's no other way or anything like that you can be saved by. Paul said it.
Even Jesus spoke to the Samaritan woman, and the time had to come. Went out preaching to the Jews, the Uriah will come. And then the Roman centurion said,
yeah, the Roman centurion. He had his
faith in Israel except through the Gentiles.
His soldier was healed, but that Roman centurion, he was an Israelite. Just like today, you have, okay, if you look at this sign, the Judah all the way down to Issachar. Nobody on the earth could tell you who they are, but through the Spirit, it's been revealed who the Israelites are today. Not just today; it goes all the way back to the 1960s. Even before that, Christopher Columbus, when he came over here to the Americas, he knew that the people over here were Israelites. That's why if you look into the history, he brought Hebrew interpreters over here to the Americas because he knew Israelites were over here in this region of this land. If you look, you do your history, you research, you'll find that answer out. Because he knew about this book called the Apocrypha. When you go into the second Ezra, you know Ezra in the Bible? There's another part of the book of Ezra's here. He's also known as Ezra's or Ezra. He speaks about a group of people, 10 tribes that were led into a land named Asareth, which basically means another land. So he knew that they resided in a far country, and that's prophesied in the book of I believe it Deuteronomy or Exodus, that the Israelites were going to be dispersed into a far country. Even Deuteronomy 28 and 68, where it said they're going to be brought back into Egypt again. When have ever Israelites been put back in Egypt to serve servitude? You know the answer? How many times were they in Egypt to serve servitude?
400 years.
Once, right? Okay. There's never been recorded history that they're there under a second time, right?
And God
So
said, never deal with them again.
So whenever Israel came out of Egypt, they never returned back to serve slavery there. So when you go into Deuteronomy, I still want to find that scripture to show you who thine is. When you go back into Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it tells you that Israel is going to go back into Egypt again by ships. When have a group of people ever been brought into slavery by a group of ships? Can you tell me?
Fortunately not.
Are you sure, man? They're everywhere. Everywhere you walk, you see them. They're of color. Who are they? And when did this happen?
I think you're talking about the African Americans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's who the Israelites are today. If you don't believe, you don't have to believe. That's fine. We believe. I believe because they fit the curses. When you go into Deuteronomy 28, 16 all the way down to 68, it breaks down all the curses. It's an identifier on how to identify who Israelites are here in America or everywhere. You be like, oh, look, it has to be Israelite because of the things that individual is going through or those group of people are going through. Because the Lord set curses upon his people on how to identify. You understand? And not just the curses, they have a certain spirit about them of meekness, humbleness. Some of them, they're giving, even though they may be drug addicts or alcoholics, they're still giving, they're still comforting. There's a certain spirit that resides with the Israelites. You understand? The Bible goes into that characteristics of certain nations, the wicked, the sons of the Most High, with the certain attributes, characteristics that they're going to hold. You understand? So nowhere in ever history recorded were Israelites brought back into Egypt to serve slavery. So what is that Egypt referring to? Spiritually, do you know what that Egypt is? Or do you know what the word Egypt means?
Yeah, like this wilderness.
When you go into the word Egypt, it tells you it's the house of bondage.
Yeah.
Because the original land's name when they were in Egypt was called Mizraim. So Egypt, when you go into the word, it says house of bondage, but it also means double straits. Because the word straight means a road of difficulty. They're in a difficult situation. They were serving slavery. Straight, S-T-R-I-T, not S-T-R-I-G-H-T, not straight like a line. It's a different meaning. So it's a meaning. The meaning of that word straight means difficult, or they were under heavy bondage, a house of bondage. So going back to Deuteronomy 28:68, when they were brought by ships into Egypt again, what landmass is that referring to? It's referring to America. When you go into Revelations, when it talks about Great Babylon, there's a scripture that says, that says, that Great Babylon is also known as spiritually Sodom and Egypt. So this in the book of Revelation, do you believe in the book of Revelations? Because some people don't. Some people don't. But do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Even the whole word.
Okay. Oh, the whole word. Okay, that's cool. I just wanted to ask because there's some people that don't believe in Revelation. They don't believe in the Old Testament. Some people don't believe in the New Testament. So Great Babylon is a mystery Babylon. So people are saying, oh, we don't know who that is. We don't know if it's Rome. There's different theories out there who this mystery Babylon could be, right? But through the Spirit, we know that it's America. I know it's America. Okay, and it's also known as Egypt. So the Israelites were going to come from their original land into this far distant land named Asareth, another land, to serve what? Slavery. So the Israelites are here today. That's why I got this sign up to break down different perspective tribes on how to identify these groups of people. So the Negro, Judah, is a head tribe of all these tribes, and it was told that Judah was going to reign over all his brothers. Who comes from the tribe of Judah? The Lord comes from the tribe of Judah. So the Lord came to save his people. I got that scripture I wanted to show you. This is Isaiah 63 and verse 17. O Lord, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways? Right? Because Israel erred, which means they erred or they went astray from the law, statutes, and commandments, or basically obeying him, because that was the main thing. The Lord wants obedience. Okay? It says, and harden our hearts from thy fear. So they harden their heart, meaning they close their minds, and they're like, man, you know what? I don't need God. I ain't afraid what he says he's going to do. I see all these people out here still living. They're living wickedness. The heathen. They get away with all this stuff. I'm going to be just like them. That's what they said. It says, return. Now, this is what Isaiah is saying. Return for thy servant's sake. And it's servants, plural. Servant's sake, the tribes of thine inheritance. Now, I showed you in Romans 9, those promises, those gifts, those covenants are also part of that's their inheritance. They're going to receive salvation. They're going to receive the ruling of the land. They're going to be put back on top again. Why? Because the elect are striving for that. They're coming to the recollection of who they were as a people. They're coming back to their power. They're coming back to the one true name, which the Father and the Son's name. Proverbs 30 tells you that. What is his name and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? It's asking us a question. What is his name and what is his son's name, if thou can tell? So in the book of Proverbs, in the Old Testament, it was already speaking. There's plenty of scriptures that were speaking of the Lord, of who the world called Jesus Christ. So there's two names that you have to have. But there's one name under heaven that you can call on to be saved, which is the Lord, which we're talking about right now. So it said, the people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little while. Right? When did they possess it but for a little while? Under the reign of King Solomon, for a period of 40 years. When they reigned, they ruled in peace. No war, none of that. Right? It says, the people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little while. Our adversaries, talking about the other nations, the heathens, the natural Gentiles. Our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary. So every time Israel would be ruled or taken into captivity, what did the Gentiles of the heathens do? They would wreck their temples. They would sacrilege all their books. They would burn their parchments, the written law, because everything was written. So they would burn all that. They would destroy it. We are thine. Thou hast bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name. The other nations weren't called by the Lord, because in order for you to come to the Lord, he has to speak to you in your mind, or he has somebody, a man like we're doing right now, that draws you in, that brings the proper understanding to you, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that opens your mind to a whole new way. Not what this old Christianity, plantation Christianity has done nothing but keep these people under captivity or under a mental strain of not knowing who they are as a people. You had to agree on that, because nowhere throughout the however many years America has been here have these people on this sign been okay. These people on this sign, the Negroes, the Jamaicans, the so-called Negroes, what you call out here the African Americans or blacks, the Jamaicans, the Haitians, Dominicans, the Guatemalans, the Panamanians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Native American Indians. Native American Indians are drunks. They were given a desolate land with casinos, but they're broken people. The Seminole Indians, the Argentinians to Chile, Guatemala, or Colombians to Uruguay, and the so-called Mexicans. These people are sick. You know what I'm saying? They're sick people, broken people. So all the time they've been here in America under that Christianity doctrine, it's been nothing but for them to be under subject to the higher powers that be. Not to the Most High, but to the powers that be out here. And if they don't go according to that way, what happens to them? They reside to drugs, they reside to prostitution, they reside to being out here in the streets, robbery, raping people, you know, committing all forms of heinous crimes, because they don't have the true spirit with them. Once we have our true spirit with us, we become strong, we become courageous. Like Joshua said, you're going to be of good success. Because why? They have the true power with them, which is the name. The Father's name is Yahweh, the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. That's who the true name is in the Paleo Hebrew, not Jesus. Jesus is a Greek derivative of the word Isis or something like that. That's a Greek derivative that was translated into what you call Jesus. That's not the name, because the Lord was in Greek. That don't determine. You can't call him the name whatever you want. It doesn't work like that. You can't. I can't go to your house and call your dad whatever name I would like. You're gonna be like, hey man, my dad's this. Don't be calling him that, right? You're gonna correct me. So that's the same thing regarding the scriptures. The Lord's name ain't Jesus, even though it's here in black and white. That don't mean that his name is Jesus. That doesn't mean that he came for the Gentiles. That meaning that all the other people that are outside of Israel. That is not what it's referring to. Now, real quick, I know you might have to go, man. I'm sorry. You're free to walk if you like.
But what the disciples did, they went to the Gentiles.
Yeah, but
started writing ants when Paul had the vision, and then he went to the Gentiles place. It was sinful for them to go to Gentiles.
Yeah, when he went to the house of Cornelius.
Yeah.
Yep,
and
that's
they
true.
all got saved.
That's true. But
Paul still went to the Jews, and since he kept being rejected, he finally just like, you know what? I'm going to the Gentiles.
yeah, but those Gentiles, that when you read about the Gentiles in the Gospels, that's referring, like I was talking to you about the Israelites that were dispersed, that were that started following the customs and the traditions of the other nations, serving their gods, their idols, Baal, Ashereth, what other gods' names? What Israel did on when they started worshiping the golden calf. That's what made them Gentiles, but a state of mind, like a state of mind of a Gentile, not a natural Gentile, meaning that a natural Gentile, somebody that didn't come from the loins of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I mean when I say a natural Gentile. You got a state of mind Gentile because they learned the behavior or conduct or traditions, customs. Like today we have Christmas, Valentine's Day, we have Mother's Day, Father's Day, we have all these different Easter. Those are not nowhere in the Bible where you can show me that those holidays are in the Bible that these people should be worshiping or observing. Nowhere. Because in the book of Acts, it has the word Easter. But when you go into the Greek translation, the Hebrew translation, what's originally supposed to be there, you know what it is? Passover. The Pesach. Because that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. A Gentile state of mind. So those Gentiles that Paul went to, or when the Lord told the Israelites in the book of Matthew, the last chapters, Mark, Luke, the last chapter, the first book of Acts, when they were sent, because the Lord did tell them that they were going to go into all nations and speak to all different forms of tongues. They're going to go outside of Samaria. But Paul was the primary one that was speaking to the Gentiles. We know this. But who were those Gentiles? Those Gentiles were Israelites. I'm going to show you. Just bear with me, man. You know, when it comes to the scriptures, it's not just one quick thing. That's what people want. People want fast food. They want microwave meals. You know, but that's not how it works when it comes to reading and studying. And you know, this is what a lot of people are missing: a dialogue, communication. They don't want to have that. They just want to be, oh, okay, hey, you're doing a good job, and I'm gone. Let me go on my way. No, they don't. That's why people don't learn nothing. That's why they don't. They're missing that. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So I'm gonna show you real quick, man. Here in the book, 1 Corinthians. Let's see here. Okay, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. You know. Right, so he's saying ye know. What kind of Bible do you read, man? What King James? Cool. So you know what ye is. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols. Do you understand what that's saying? And you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you elaborate, or speak to me what it's talking about? Because Paul was talking to the Corinthians.
Fleshly ways and to just worship different things.
Okay.
The flesh instead of just going to the spirit.
Okay, it says, because who the Corinthians were considered what? Gentiles? Because he went to the city of Corinth, and that's where he was speaking to. He wrote 2 parchments, letters to the Corinthians. Long, parchments or letters, epistles. Because why? Because they were out of order. So he was having to break down things to them, go in depth. Because, okay, you understand that the Corinthians were Gentiles, right? Okay, they were up in I believe it was northern of Israel, and what could be, in that time would be considered Asia Minor. It was said, ye know that ye were Gentiles. So we're saying, ye know that y'all were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols. Why did he say, because you were carried away with these dumb idols? Because he was telling them, y'all are Israelites. Because y'all are considered Gentiles, or because you believe that you're Gentiles, is because you were carried away with these dumb idols. An idol, which an idol can be anything. It don't have to be something that's standing up physically for me to touch and pick up and carry in place or destroy. It could be a thought. It could be a doctrine. It could be a way of life. Like I'm talking about, a custom, a tradition of the land.
Alcoholism.
Yeah, that could be your idol. Drugs, women. So that's what drew them away from knowing who they were as a people, because they didn't hold on to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that was passed down to them by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everything was written or passed down to their children orally, and then ultimately it was written down on the stones, on the parchments. Okay, so that's what Paul is telling them. I'm gonna read it again. You know that you were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. So again, what made these Gentiles, what made these people Gentiles that Paul went to, was because they were worshiping other idols. But who were they naturally? They were Israelites. They weren't just a natural Gentile, somebody that wasn't born within the loins of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's all I'm saying, man. Like, there's many scriptures to back it up. This is Galatians 1:16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not, and to seeds, plural, as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Yahushua HaMashiach. So Galatians, again, they were in the region of Asia Minor. They weren't in the region, they didn't reside in Israel. So that's where Paul was going to, all these different lands up by Greece and, all these different lands up north of Israel, right? Galatia, which I was also considered people we know would be Gentiles, but there were Israelites there. So Paul was telling them, hey, this is not for many, but this is to one. One meaning a group of people, one nation. The 12 tribes of Israel would make up the house of Jacob, to make the house of Israel. Because the Lord said, I'm sent but to go unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Who are those lost sheep? Israelites. Okay? So, I'm going to read that again. Now to Abraham and his seed were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then he had the 12 sons. Were the promises made. He said not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is the Lord, Yahushua Mashiach. So that's who the promises are for, man, But, you don't have to believe. And then going back to that Cornelius in Acts chapter 10, Cornelius, he was an Israelite. Cornelius, he was part of the Italian band. It wasn't no musical band. It was part of an army. So, like I brought out, so-called Negroes, Latinos, they're just not out here being hoodlums. You got successful, prospering Negro Latinos that have a good head on their shoulders, that they're in high parts of businesses and stuff like that, but they're also reside in the Army Reserves, Marines. So back then, like you brought up the Roman centurion, that Lord didn't want, he said, I'm not worthy for you to come into my roof, but all you have to do is give the word and my servant will be healed. That's because that Roman centurion or that general, he was an Israelite. It's not going to tell you, but you have to understand it in context of this whole book. It was always about Israel. Always.
First to the Jews, then to the Gentiles.
Okay, but the Gentiles aren't the other people. This is Acts chapter 2. Now Acts